In this message is not truly about waiting for another person to finally return, speak, or explain themselves. It is about understanding that something profound has already shifted beneath the surface long before the physical world has caught up to it. The silence you have been living through was never empty. It was a hidden space where emotional truths were being faced, spiritual decisions were being made, and both souls were being pushed toward deeper clarity. For a long time, this person tried to outrun what they felt for you. They distracted themselves, buried their emotions beneath routines, responsibilities, and surface-level connections, convincing themselves they could simply move forward without looking back. But real soul connections do not disappear because someone avoids them. What is deeply felt continues to live quietly beneath every distraction, waiting for the moment when the heart can no longer deny what it already knows.
That moment has now arrived. The reason you have felt such unusual emotional intensity lately is because your spirit recognized the shift before your mind could explain it. The dreams, the sudden thoughts, the emotional pull, the strange feeling that something important is changing, none of it came from imagination. It came from the invisible bond that still exists between you both. The heart has already made a choice on a deeper level, even if the physical world has not yet fully revealed it. But the most important truth hidden inside this entire experience is not simply that they chose you, it is that this connection has also been guiding you back toward yourself. Through the waiting, confusion, silence, and emotional uncertainty, you have been forced to confront your own fears of abandonment, rejection, and self-worth. You have learned that love cannot be forced through chasing, over-explaining, or sacrificing your peace just to keep someone close. Real love asks for presence, trust, healing, and emotional alignment, not desperation. This period of separation was never punishment, it was preparation. Both of you needed distance to face the parts of yourselves that could not heal while clinging to old patterns. The connection exposed wounds that had been hidden for years and demanded growth from both sides. That is why the bond felt so overwhelming at times. It was not ordinary attraction, it was transformation. And now you stand in a different place emotionally than before. You are beginning to understand that your value does not disappear during silence. Your worth is not measured by how quickly someone reaches out or how perfectly they express their emotions. You no longer need constant reassurance to know what your soul already feels. That inner calm, slowly replacing anxiety, is proof of your growth. If this person returns, they must return with clarity, honesty, and emotional maturity, not simply because they fear losing you, but because they are finally ready to meet the depth of what this connection truly requires. And if the path unfolds differently, this journey will still have served its highest purpose, awakening you to your own strength, your own healing, and your own inner completeness. The universe was never trying to break you through this experience. It was trying to transform you. Everything that happened, the distance, the silence, the confusion, the emotional intensity was guiding you toward a version of yourself that no longer begs for love, fears abandonment, or forgets their own worth in order to keep a connection alive. You are no longer standing in the same emotional place where this journey began. Now you understand something deeper. What is truly meant for you does not require you to lose yourself while waiting for it. And if this bond is truly aligned with your highest path, then nothing real will be lost. It will return in the right form, at the right time, after both souls have become ready to hold it fully and consciously. Until then, your task is not to chase the outcome. Your task is to continue becoming the person your soul has been guiding you to become all along. In this entire connection was never meant to destroy you or leave you trapped in endless confusion. It entered your life to awaken parts of both of you that could no longer remain hidden. What felt like rejection, silence, or emotional distance was often the result of someone confronting emotions and inner shadows they had spent years avoiding. The truth is, your presence forced this person to see themselves clearly, and not everyone is prepared for that level of emotional exposure all at once. You spent so much time believing the distance meant you were not enough, that perhaps you loved too deeply, cared too openly, or showed your heart too honestly. But the deeper truth is the opposite. Your depth was never the problem. Your authenticity became a mirror reflecting everything unresolved inside them. The love, vulnerability, and emotional honesty you carried naturally exposed fears they had buried beneath control, distraction, and emotional walls. That is why they stepped back, not because the connection lacked meaning, but because it carried too much meaning for them to comfortably ignore. Carl Jung taught that human beings often run from the very things capable of transforming them most deeply. This connection became exactly that kind of transformation. You awakened emotions, wounds, desires, and truths they could no longer suppress. Standing near you meant standing face to face with their own fears of vulnerability, loss, and emotional surrender. And for someone who spent years protecting themselves from those feelings, the intensity became overwhelming. But this journey was never only about their awakening. It was also about yours. Through every moment of waiting, overthinking, longing, and silence, you were slowly being guided back toward your own worth. You learned that love should never require you to abandon your peace or shrink your spirit just to remain connected to someone. You discovered that your value does not disappear during separation, silence, or uncertainty. In fact, some of your greatest growth happened precisely during the moments when you were forced to stand alone and reconnect with yourself. That is why your energy has begun to change. The exhaustion you feel is not hopelessness, it is surrender. It is the soul becoming tired of fear, tired of forcing outcomes, tired of carrying emotional burdens that were never meant to belong entirely to you. And in that surrender, something beautiful has happened. You have stopped trying to control what must unfold naturally. Now the connection exists in a different space. The panic is fading. The desperate need for reassurance is weakening, and in its place, a quieter inner knowing is beginning to emerge. You understand now that what is truly aligned with your soul cannot be destroyed by temporary silence, fear, or distance. If this bond is meant to continue, it will return through honesty, healing, and conscious choice, not through chasing confusion or emotional survival patterns. The person you once waited for is also changing. The separation forced them to confront truths they could no longer escape. The emptiness they felt without you eventually became impossible to ignore, because avoiding the connection also meant avoiding themselves. And no distraction could permanently silence that realization. Still, the greatest lesson of this speech is not whether they come back tomorrow or how the story ends. The real lesson is that you are no longer the same person who entered this journey at the beginning. You now see yourself differently. You are learning to trust your intuition instead of fear. You are learning to choose peace over emotional chaos. You are learning that real love should expand you, not diminish you. And most importantly, you are realizing that your soul was never asking you to chase another person. It was asking you to remember yourself. This connection served as the catalyst for that awakening. Everything that happened, the silence, the longing, the distance, the emotional intensity, pushed you toward a higher understanding of love and self-worth. It taught you that true spiritual connections are not based on possession or dependency, but on growth, reflection, healing, and transformation. So release the blame you carried for so long. You were never too much. You were simply powerful enough to awaken something they could no longer hide from. And now, after all the confusion and emotional storms, you are finally stepping into a quieter and stronger version of yourself. One who understands that love is not meant to make you lose yourself, but to help you become more fully who you truly are. This entire journey was never only about another person returning, choosing you, or finally speaking the truth they were too afraid to face. It was about your own awakening. It was about the moment your soul became strong enough to stop abandoning itself in the name of love. Everything that happened between you and this person carried a deeper purpose than simple romance. The silence, the distance, the confusion, the emotional intensity, and even the pain were all part of a transformation designed to bring both of you face to face with your deepest truths. What you felt was never imaginary. The connection was real because it touched parts of you that ordinary relationships never reach. It awakened old wounds, hidden fears, forgotten hopes, and a longing for something deeper than surface-level affection. This person entered your life not only to love you, but to mirror the parts of yourself that still needed healing. And in the same way, your presence forced them to confront the shadows they had spent years avoiding. That is why this connection felt so overwhelming. It was never casual. It was spiritual, emotional, psychological, and deeply transformative all at once. The love between you did not disappear during the silence. It simply moved beneath the surface where deeper changes were taking place. While you believed nothing was happening, entire inner worlds were shifting. Fear was being exposed. Ego was breaking apart. Old identities were falling away. And somewhere inside both of you, something far more honest was beginning to emerge. You must understand this clearly now. Their distance was never proof that you were unworthy. Their confusion was never evidence that you were difficult to love. Many people run not because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much and do not yet know how to carry the weight of a connection that changes them so completely. Your love confronted them with truths they were not prepared to face. It showed them what vulnerability looked like, what emotional depth felt like, and what genuine connection demanded from them. But your greatest lesson was not learning how to hold on to them. Your greatest lesson was learning how to hold on to yourself. You reached a point where the waiting became heavier than the letting go. You stopped chasing answers. You stopped trying to force clarity from silence. You stopped shaping your entire emotional world around someone else's uncertainty. And in doing so, you discovered something powerful. Peace does not come from finally being chosen by another person. Peace comes from choosing yourself without apology. That is the true shift this speech has been leading toward. The moment you stopped begging for reassurance, your energy changed. The moment you stopped measuring your worth through their actions, you reclaimed your power. The moment you accepted that love should never require you to shrink, over-explain, or betray your own spirit, you stepped into a completely different version of yourself. A version built not on fear, but on inner certainty. Now the connection exists in a different space, no longer controlled by panic, desperation, or emotional survival. Whether this person returns tomorrow, months from now, or not at all, you are no longer standing still, waiting for life to begin. You have remembered your own value, and that remembrance changes everything. If they truly do the inner work, if they genuinely heal, if they learn how to meet love without fear, then the bond may return stronger, calmer, and more honest than before. But if they remain trapped in avoidance, pride, or emotional immaturity, then life will continue guiding you towards something healthier and more aligned with your soul. Either way, you no longer lose, because the real victory was never controlling the outcome. The real victory was becoming whole again. This connection taught you that real love is not constant anxiety. It is not chasing, decoding, proving, or surviving on crumbs of attention. Real love feels safe enough to breathe inside. It honors your spirit instead of exhausting it. It expands your life instead of making you smaller. And once you truly understand that, you can never return to the version of yourself who accepted less. That is why this period of silence carried such deep meaning. It forced you inward. It pushed you to heal the parts of yourself that believed love had to be earned through suffering. It showed you that your softness was never weakness, your loyalty was never foolishness, and your depth was never too much. You simply offered your heart to someone who was not yet fully ready to receive it. And now, after everything, your soul understands something it could not fully grasp before. You are already complete. The universe did not bring you through all of this simply to leave you broken. It brought you here to awaken your self-worth, your intuition, your emotional strength, and your ability to love without abandoning yourself in the process. That is the deeper meaning behind every sign, every dream, every emotional pull, and every moment that felt impossible to explain. You are no longer the person who waits at the door hoping someone finally realizes your value. You are the person who knows it already, and that changes the energy of everything around you. So move forward with trust. Trust your growth. Trust your healing. Trust the quiet wisdom inside your spirit that kept guiding you even through confusion. What is truly meant for you will never require you to destroy yourself to keep it. What is real will meet you in honesty, reciprocity, and peace. This chapter was never about losing yourself in another person. It was about returning home to yourself. And now that you have found that place within, nothing can take it away from you again. This is no longer the moment to sit quietly questioning your worth or asking the universe for permission to receive the love your soul already recognizes. This is the moment to stand fully inside your value and declare it without hesitation, fear, or apology. I want you to go to the comments right now and write two powerful words, I deserve. Not as a wish, not as a desperate plea, not from the energy of someone hoping to be chosen someday. Write it from the deepest part of yourself that already knows your heart was never too much, your love was never excessive, and your presence was never something that needed to be reduced in order to be accepted. When you write, I deserve, you are making a spiritual declaration. You are telling your own subconscious mind that you no longer accept confusion instead of clarity, silence instead of honesty, or inconsistency instead of genuine love. You are sending a signal into the unseen layers of reality that you are finally prepared to receive relationships that meet you with the same depth, loyalty, and truth you have always offered others. That single statement carries energy. It closes the old chapter where you questioned your value every time someone failed to recognize it. It ends the cycle of shrinking yourself to fit into connections that ask you to betray your own spirit. And it opens a completely different reality. One where love no longer has to be chased, forced, decoded, or earned through suffering. Write it because your soul needs to hear you say it clearly. I deserve honesty. I deserve peace. I deserve consistency. I deserve love that does not disappear the moment things become emotionally real. I deserve a connection that feels safe instead of uncertain. I deserve to be chosen fully, openly, and without confusion. This is the shift happening within you now. The universe responds differently when your energy changes from longing to knowing. The moment you stop begging life to give you crumbs and start standing in the certainty of your own worth, everything begins rearranging itself around that new frequency. And this is where meaningful synchronicities begin appearing more strongly than ever. Carl Jung describes synchronicity as meaningful coincidences that carry a deeper connection beyond logic. They are not random accidents. They are moments where the inner world and outer world suddenly mirror one another with impossible precision. And now that this person has made an internal emotional decision, the energy surrounding your connection has started moving differently. You notice their name appearing unexpectedly in conversations, online posts, songs, or places you never saw before. Certain numbers repeat constantly at the exact moments you think about them. Lyrics suddenly sound like direct messages to your soul. Memories arrive with unusual intensity. Dreams become vivid. Encounters feel orchestrated. It is as if reality itself has started quietly preparing the path for something unresolved to come back into alignment. These are not signs that you should panic, obsess, or lose yourself again. They are reminders to remain centered. Your role now is not to chase what is already moving toward you. Your role is to stay grounded in your peace, stay aligned with your own growth, stay emotionally clear enough that when life brings the next chapter forward, you meet it from strength rather than fear. Because what is truly meant for you does not disappear simply because time passes or silence exists for a while. What is chosen deeply at the level of the soul always finds its way back into expression when the timing becomes right. And the beautiful truth is this: the less desperately you search for signs, the more naturally they appear. The less you force the process, the more life begins unfolding on its own. What belongs to you no longer has to be hunted down. It arrives through alignment. So breathe deeply and trust what is unfolding beneath the surface. The universe is already moving pieces you cannot yet see. The connection has not been forgotten. The story has not ended. But now, for the first time, you are no longer waiting from emptiness. You are waiting from wholeness. That changes everything. If this message spoke directly to something deep inside you, like this video, Comment ready and subscribe to Jung's Soul Theory for more messages about soul connections, divine timing, synchronicity, and the hidden spiritual shifts happening beneath the surface of love.